Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about the players who are going to be coming in, who's going to be coming out, and the new players that Barcelona are trying to buy. And so before we go into that, first of all, I want to say we do have a Discord group chat that you guys can join. All you have to do is accept the invite, and that's basically it. Once you're there, you're going to be seeing so many other different members, including me. And if you guys will have any questions about Barcelona or maybe even football, I can answer those questions in the Discord group chat. The link is going to be provided on the pinned comment and also in the description box. And also, if you are a Barcelona fan, this is going to be the channel for you. This is where we talk about everything regarding FC Barcelona. If you guys end up liking this video, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. I would really appreciate it. So to start things off, let's talk about Hansi Flick and his plans. Helena Condis has stated that Hansi Flick sees a lot of potential to compete with the team he already has at Barcelona. Additionally, the coach has already studied the players and as well as those at La Masia for months. As for the players that Hansi Flick wants to get, it is Nico Williams and Joshua Kimmich. Alex Pintanel has claimed Barcelona's opinion about Nico Williams hasn't changed. The plan remains the same. He is still a target if there's enough fair play, and additionally, Joshua Kimmich is the chosen one for the defensive pivot position. Hansi Flick also wants Joshua Kimmich, and the priority overall within the club, right, there is total consensus, and that is that they want to sign a defensive pivot over anybody else. The board will find ways to sign the youngster because his style of play is one of Flick's hallmarks. So this is exactly what we have talked about in the previous video. We were talking about how a 11 could look like under Hansi Flick with Nico Williams and Joshua Kimmich. Having Nico Williams at Barcelona is definitely going to upgrade our left wing position because we need the pace, we need the power, we need the speed. Hansi Flick demands that. He plays total attacking football. As for our pivot position, we need total control, we need experience, we need maturity, we need leadership. Joshua Kimmich gives you exactly that. I do want to speak about the finances first before we talk about the sporting reasons. Joshua Kimmich and Nico Williams in total is going to be costing 100 million euros. Nico Williams is going to be costing 50 million euros and Joshua Kimmich will also be costing around 50 million euros. Although there has been reports about Joshua Kimmich possibly being signed for 45 to 40 million euros, but as for now, let's just paint worst case scenario, which is 50 million euros. I do not know how Barcelona is going to achieve these two signings without selling anybody, because in the previous video, we also spoke about Hansi Flick betting on the heavyweights. He does not want to sell any high-profile, high-technical players. Frankie de Jong, Araujo, Pedri, and Xavi will stay, and they are safe. There has also been reports about Hansi Flick betting on Lewandowski, another player that Barcelona could have sold and released wages, but Hansi Flick likes Lewandowski. And of course, he is going to be liking Lewandowski because he has worked with him before, and he's going to want to get the best out of the player. And even though he's going to be turning 36 years old, I have a feeling that maybe the one player that could help us in terms of bringing in more money to sign new players would be Rafinha. Barcelona can easily sell Rafinha for 75 million euros. Like, for sure, the Premier League highly rates the player, and also there are clubs in Saudi Arabia that do want Rafinha. But here's going to be the thing, right? This is where things get very complicated. I do not see Rafinha being sold for two different reasons. Point number one, he's definitely a Hansi Flick type of player. Rafinha gives you the energy, the focus, the aggressiveness, the pressing. Rafinha is going to be thriving in the environments that Hansi is going to be building. And point number two, who's going to be challenging Lamine Yamal on the right wing position? Like who? If you sell Rafinha, who's going to try and take away Yamal's position? Because we cannot allow for Yamal at the age of 17 years old to feel comfortable on the right wing position, knowing that even if he does perform a 5 out of 10 performance, he still cannot go out. He needs pressure. He needs players that he knows can take his position at any moment. And so Rafinha needs to be there. And so stepping away from the player sales, another thing that Barcelona could do that we have not really talked about lately on this YouTube channel is to achieve the Nike deal and the Libero deal. Remember, if Barcelona lock down the deal with Nike, they will be injected 100 million euros up front in this upcoming summer. Also, the Libero deal, we were supposed to get 40 million euros for the sale of a percentage of Barca Studios, and we have not gotten that. The other company promised they were going to inject us 40 million euros, but they could not find the money. And I believe that Joan Laporta can find the answer to that and resell Barca Studios and further their income. It's going to be wildly important. So in total, Barcelona can receive around 140 million euros if they log down the Libero deal and also the Nike deal. Those 140 million euros can be used for the funding of Nico Williams and Joshua Kimmich. So moving on from that, I have already spoken about how we could line up with Joshua Kimmich and Nico Williams. I do think that Hansi Flick's idea would be to use Joshua Kimmich as a right back, and a right back that does invert himself into the midfield, very similar to what Dani Alves did under Xavi Hernandez a year and a half ago, except you're going to be be getting a massive upgrade with Joshua Kimmich. He'll be inverting himself to be paired with Frenkie de Jong and Xavi to form a 2-3-5 formation. Nico Williams will be on the left wing position and welcoming Balde to pair up with him in the final third. It would be amazing to see. Now, I know that there has been a lot of debates about how it would not make any sense to have Joshua Kimmich, Frenkie, and Xavi in the middle because we can get defensively exposed. And I would like to argue that because I don't think that having a 2-3 formation at the back would defensively expose us. If you look at this graph here, you can see that if you combine Joshua Kimmich, Xavi, and Frenkie, you tick every box in this graph. Sergio Busquets by himself would have ticked all these boxes, but putting these three players together does give you almost exactly what Sergio Busquets did bring. I know it sounds crazy that it's going to take three players to make up for what Sergio Busquets brought at Barcelona, but that is why we do call him one of the best CDMs ever in the history of football. It's because he was so special. It's impossible to replicate Sergio Busquets. I know that also many do see Joshua Kimmich as a Frenkie type of player, not somebody that is very defensively aware nor physical. But the thing is that like what other option is Barcelona going to have? Like if you say, okay, not Joshua Kimmich, who is going to be your option? It's very similar to the debate that we had with Xavi Hernandez. If it's not going to be Xavi and you're saying Xavi out, who is going to be your next coach? Who is your solution? With Joshua Kimmich, the same thing has to happen. If it's not Joshua Kimmich, who are you going to be calling? Now, ideally, if Barcelona had all the money in the world, we would say, okay, instead of Kimmich, Rodri. But you really think that Barcelona have the finances to sign someone like Rodri right now? The only thing that seems very realistic right now is to have Joshua Kimmich in the midfield and to accommodate that with the inclusion of Frenkie de Jong and Xavi to really dominate the midfield. Stepping away from that, let's also speak about Sergi Roberto. It says here, according to Relevo, that Sergi Roberto's renewal still isn't guaranteed. His future is in the air. Barcelona cannot guarantee whether or not they'll be able to register him since they are prioritizing other registrations over him. And what could those other registrations be? Relevo continues to say that they prioritize Xavi's registration, Balde, Inigo Martinez, and Vitor Roque over Sergi Roberto. So yes, they want to renew Sergi Roberto, but he is not the priority. After Barcelona do register Xavi, Balde, Inigo Martinez, Vitor Roque, then they will see, okay, is it possible for us to fit Sergi Roberto? You guys do make it seem like Barcelona love Sergi Roberto, like they would do anything to keep the player. Of course, they're going to be showing some interest because he is a veteran here, but he is not a priority whatsoever, sportingly nor economically. And so to me, this is the right idea. For sure, guarantee us the registration of Xavi, Balde, and Vitor Roque. As for Inigo Martinez, he's going to be a second thought. Sergio Roberto, third thought. But give us the continuity of Xavi, Balde, and Vitor Roque. As for Ansu Fati, let's move on to this player. It says here, according to Alex Pintanel, that Ansu Fati's future at Barcelona remains complicated. He is still among the players like Lenglet, Valle, Dest, Pablo Torre, who are on the exit ramp by the club. Only Julian Araujo and Eric Garcia are closer to staying. Now, this does not mean that Julian Araujo and Eric Garcia are for sure going to have continuity. It just basically means that they have a higher chance of staying compared to Lenglet, Alex Valle, Dest, and Pablo Torre. But let's focus on Ansu Fati because I did ask a question on the community tab on YouTube, and I did ask, what would you guys do with Ansu Fati in this summer? Would you guys sell him? Would you guys keep him? Would you send him on another loan? There has been some sources claiming that Hansi Flick is willing to give Ansu Fati a chance, and it is likely that he will get minutes in the preseason. Barcelona has decided to find a way out for the player, but Hansi Flick is standing up for the player and giving Ansu a chance. And that, my friends, is very interesting because if Ansu Fati can rediscover his best level under Hansi, I would be an extremely happy man because I want to see Ansu Fati have a great future, not just like for himself, but because I'm a Barcelona fan, I want him to have a great future at Barcelona. It angers me. It really does. And it frustrates me so much every time I hear that Ansu Fati has not reached his level yet at Brighton, that he is just a second or third thought and he rarely does get any minutes because we were talking about a player that was once compared to Messi in terms of the image, not in terms of style or level, but image, right? Like who was going to be that next face of Barcelona? 4 years ago, we said Ansu Fati. That is how good he was at the age of 16 and 17 years old. And the fact that Hansi is willing to give Ansu a chance to rediscover his best form, of course, let's do this. Now, it's not going to be easy because Hansi will be studying other alternatives. He's going to be looking how Nico Williams does play and how Ansu Fati does play and then make a decision based off of that. Just to give you guys an idea on the difference in terms of level between Ansu and Nico, just look at this, right? Nico Williams dominates Ansu in everything. And there's only like a 1 year difference between these two players. So Ansu is going to have to do a lot to convince Hansi why he should be one of the options at the very least at Barcelona next season. And one of the things that I want Hansi to do with Ansu is to recover his explosiveness, because we have heard reports about Hansi Flick wanting to get more physicalness and explosiveness from Pedri, from Xavi, from Frenkie, Lewandowski and to up their level. I want him to do the exact same thing with Ansu, because that is the one thing that Ansu Fati is missing in his game. It is his explosiveness, something that he had when he was 16, 17 years old, and what made him so good. Like, he still has those technical abilities to maybe shoot the ball well, pass the ball well, but he cannot outrun any player. Any player can beat him on a 1v1 duel when it comes to speed. We need the explosiveness back. Have Ansu Fati train throughout the whole summer under Hansi with the brand new technical staff and the physical trainers, and we'll go from there. Again, it gets complicated because we also know that Xavi Simons wants to come to Barcelona on a loan deal, and he also wants to resolve his future before the Euros. How the hell are we going to be having Ansu and Xavi Simons come in at the same time? I know that both of these players will be coming in for free because Ansu is one of our players and Xavi Simons will be coming on loan, but there is only so much space. If Hansi needed to choose between Xavi Simons or Ansu, it would be really hard to do that because, again, Xavi Simons wants to resolve his future before the Euros, and we cannot see Ansu Fati until the preseason, which is like 2 months after the Euros is over. And so there are so many decisions that Hansi Flick and the rest of the coaching staff need to make. I hope it does get made very soon. I would love to have both of them in. I would love to see Ansu come in with Xavi Simons and also Nico Williams. Again, it's financially possible because we're not going to be spending any money on these two players. If there is trouble with game time between Xavi Simons and Ansu on the left wing because Nico Williams is doing so well for some reason, move Ansu Fati to the number 9 position and have him compete with Lewandowski, who again is going to be 36 years old. Why not? And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.